Okay, welcome to another edition of Lion News. Lion News can be found at lionnews00.blogspot.com. Today is April 19th, Tuesday, April 19th, 2011. Alright, and what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the complaint I just filed against the 7th Judicial Judges on 4/18/11. And this all stems from an incident on 4/14/11 when I was serving papers in Stearns County. Serving papers at the County Attorney's Office, the County Commissioner's Office, and the Court Administrator's Office there. Alright, and there's Dave Lauer right there with the camera. There's some more paperwork. You don't want a county attorney that covers up local corruption, do you? Okay. And there's serving papers at the County Commissioner's Office. And here's the two witnesses, Dave and Carolyn Lauer. Okay. There's the deer in the headlights look like she's going, why do you guys have cameras here when you're serving the papers on there? Okay. There's no question they received the paperwork, right? Because a picture's worth 1,000 words. And these guys came scurrying out like little rats when they heard the word felony repeated over and over and over again. Okay, so it's clear that these people were served with their paperwork. And look, this guy's kind of owly here. He doesn't like that. All right, but this guy's, he said thanks for all the information. We're gonna make sure we bury this as fast as we possibly can. So, alrighty. So let's get to the complaint here. And so. Why are we filing a complaint? Well, because when we went to the county, the court administrator's office, they copped an attitude about us trying to serve these papers there, and they threw the paperwork back at us. Well, if you know anything about the county or the court, they're nothing but corporations. They're no different than Walmart, all right? And Walmart puts out these little surveys, just like the courts do, asking you what their service is like. Okay, was the staff friendly? Was it helpful? In that, like say with the court ones, they'll go, was the court administrator's staff friendly? Was it helpful? Well, obviously the complaint is saying that some of you guys weren't. Okay, and they'll ask you, was the bailiff friendly? Was he helpful? How was your experience at the court? Blah blah blah. Okay, well, we're gonna give them the thumbs down on some of these people that were there. The bailiff or the security guard treated us nice. Who's a deputy, and the one lady in the court administrator's office treated us like you're supposed to. Okay, and she was nice, helpful. But this other one, who we called the enforcer, she was a bitch. All right, and she threw the paperwork back at us. All right, so obviously these judges all earned a complaint then, because these judges are responsible for all their actions of their court personnel, okay, which includes the bailiffs and the court administrator staff. All right, and you notice it starts off with Hi Willie. Okay, his name's William. Anytime, and you see this, I do that all the time. If they have a name, it's Tim, I call him Timmy. If it's John, I call him Johnny. All right, and I show them exactly the amount of respect that they're due, which is 0. Because I've dealt with these people before, all right? The board's purpose, the advertised purpose, is to protect you from the judges, okay? In reality, it's just completely the opposite. They are going to cover up as many of these crimes about the judges as possible, all right? And here it starts off. I have another legitimate complaint that your phony board can cover up, haven't I? You aren't still mad at me after I caught your crooked executive secretary, David S. Paul, lying to me on the phone, are you? Of course, you realize that I couldn't care less if you're mad at me or not, could I? After all, why would I care what a crook thinks of me, right? Isn't it wonderful that YouTube is rife with news stories about the authorities using social media, YouTube, Facebook, etc., videos, as evidence to investigate and prosecute crimes? Before I forget, the entire conversation with that crook Paul can be found here at YouTube, at Arrest a Judge Kit. And then I put all the videos where I'm talking to this Paul, where he's trying to talk me out of this complaint and trying to tell me a phone complaint isn't a valid complaint. Which, of course, according to their own website, says that the only complaint that isn't valid is an email complaint. It says, so obviously a phone complaint is a complaint. You can call up the cops and send them out against someone. All right? Same thing here. It says your complaint should be in writing. It doesn't say it has to be in writing. We'll only accept complaints in writing. All right? And then it says they'll have to send out a acknowledgement to your complaint. Okay? So in the next paragraph, I said, oh, that's what I said. This crook Paul never even sent me a confirmation letter. And I got proof that I called you up with a complaint. All right? And then we go into, while we're on the topic of crooks, you may want an update on Judge John Staffshold. All right? So I'll give him a bunch of videos on where we're filing criminal defamation complaints in Benson, which is Judge John Staffshold. Okay? And then the Glenwood Police Department, which is, of course, his wife, because she assaulted me. All right? All right, and that's what the phone conversation to Paul was about in November. Was telling about the assault. Well, he don't want to hear about that. Okay? And then telling him that the criminal defamation complaints are being covered up to protect Judge John Staffshold. Okay? The whole reason we're talking about Judge John Staffshold is to educate everyone about the history of the crooked judges in the district. Well, he isn't in the district. He's Judge John Staffshold's from the 8th Judicial District. These other guys are from the 7th Judicial District. But there's a connection. And the connection comes from Paul Kundrat. We'll get to him in a while. All right? But the whole idea is to show people that these guys have a real bad history of crime. All right? Okay, another bit of history before I get to your crooked Stearns County judges. When I was on the phone with that crook Paul, he mentioned that you only have 2 complaints on file from me, aside from the legitimacy, and that's the advantage of taping your phone conversations with these jerks. They'll tell you all sorts of embarrassing little facts. Aside from the legitimate November 7th, 2010 phone complaint I filed, that complaint is trying to cover up, that number still doesn't match my records, does it? You wouldn't mind if I come down to your private office or your board office with a camera crew unannounced to put you and that crook Paul on the spot, would you? I didn't think you would. Okay? So I don't need their permission. I'll just show up. Okay? I don't ask anyone's permission to show up with cameras. I just show up. If they want to throw me out, well, they'll throw me out. Okay? But then I got that on film too. Okay? Well, on to the current complaint here. Okay? So then I go into how we went to these different places, served them with absolutely no problem. Served them at the county attorney's office, no problem. The county commissioner's office, no problem. But then all of a sudden we get to the county clerk of court's office, or the court administrator's office, and also we have all these problems. And then again, here's the videos of us serving all the papers. And the very first one is how we went into the Douglas County attorney's office, and I spliced the two films together. One where we're in Douglas County and one we're in Stearns County. Show the comparison contrast. And that way you can show the different reactions of the county attorneys themselves or the county attorney staff. One's friendly, one's not. One's admitting to crimes, the other ones are smart enough to keep their mouths shut. Okay? So comparison contrasts are very, very educational. So let's always try to use comparison contrast. Okay? Plus, this complaint makes sure that everyone knows that a response was delivered to these 3 places. Because again, in these videos, you'll see that Judge John Staffshold completely lies, destroys records, court records, and says he never received legal documents from John Besser. Okay? Even though John had sent a certificate of mailing, and he's got the certificates of mailing. All right? So again, the YouTubes to prove why we were in there serving by hand, even though we had sent a certificate of mailing. Okay? So it goes, again, says that we entered into the court administrator's office, and then Roxy was the first person we dealt with, and she was the nice lady, and we had gone through the metal detector. The deputy was out there, and she was friendly. Okay? Didn't have a problem with them. Okay, until we got to this enforcer here, who, even though we told her that we weren't filing any lawsuit, that we're just serving a response to make sure that the court got a response, because, if it's allegedly there's this lawsuit, then you got to notify the court. Okay? But she said the first person, that Roxy, told us there was no lawsuit there, and we didn't have any court file number. She says, well, there's nothing here. So then this enforcer demands that we start filing some, give her $320 and provide affidavits that we served all these people. And said, no, I'm not part of this thing at all. You know, why am I gonna pay you $320? I mean, it's ludicrous. So then she's tosses this complaint, or the response, the demurrer that we had just served on her at us. Because I told her, it's your problem. No, you've been served. Deal with it. So he chucks it across the table, launches across about in the middle of the room there, and lands in between the feet of David and Carolyn Lauer. You know, if I would just stayed there, she would have thrown it right at me and hit me. Okay, that would have been assault. Okay, now if you would have acted that way, they would have called the cops. That little friendly deputy all of a sudden would have turned nasty and come in there and either given you a ticket. For sure, they would have hauled you out of there, either given you a ticket or arrested you for disorderly conduct. All right. So we make sure we tell Willie there that, well, Willie, I know your only job is to cover these things up, so I'm just sending this kind of as a formality. Because when you don't do anything, I'm just going to go to the city attorney's office or the police department and file a criminal complaint. Because disorderly conduct's a crime. Now that's going to be even more embarrassing for the judges there, because now they'll have to deal with criminal charges. And of course, if the city attorney or the police don't do anything, well, we know how to deal with that. That's, you know, because Benson police chief found out how we don't appreciate people, you know, claiming they're the police and don't investigate crimes. Well, we went down there with bullhorns and educated the public. And then he had to leave. Okay? So, again, here we're sending this to David Lauer. He's one of the witnesses. And then we're sending it to the private office of William J. Egan. Because if you send it just to the Judicial Review Board, then this idiot Paul's going to get a hold of it, and maybe William J. Egan is never going to see it ever. Okay? And then here's Matt Stalling. He's the city attorney's office, city attorney. So we sent it to him. And then Dave Otte, he's the chair of the county commissioners. Okay, so you make sure you have all your people notified. Okay, so they all know them. Hey, maybe because I've got video of us showing up at the county commissioner's office, video of showing up at the city attorney's office. We might even show up at the Judicial Review Board. Okay, so that's the last thing they want, is video of them, you know, being out of control in their office, you know. And then who was? Well, that was that Chad the Felon Larson. Here, these guys, you know, they didn't like us being with cameras there, but at least they didn't you know, blow up or yell or scream at us like they did at the court administrator's office. Okay, so again, always document what you're doing. Make sure you have witnesses. Because if I didn't have those witnesses, it'd be my word against the court administrator. Okay? Now it's 3 of us against them. All right? So it's more believable. Plus, you know, that's why it's always important to have the cameras, because the camera doesn't lie. All right? But don't be afraid to file these complaints against these judges. And if, like I said, if there's 12 judges in the district, file a complaint against all 12, because all 12 are responsible for the staff that they have there. Okay? Oh, and here's the certificates mailing for each and every one of the people that I sent it to. Okay? And it says here, a ruler hearkens to lies and all servants are wicked. Okay? Well, you got a bunch of judges that commit felonies there. Obviously, they tell lies and listen to lies, so obviously you got court administrative staff that are a bunch of crooks there, that are wicked, that throw paperwork at you. All right? So if you had righteous judges, then they'd be full of the Holy Spirit and wisdom, and they wouldn't treat you like, you know, abuse you and stuff like that. See? But see, when you have wolves in charge, then they bite like wolves. So, well, we didn't appreciate the wolves. We're reporting the wolves. Okay? So, don't be intimidated. File your complaints. Make sure you have all your T's crossed and all your I's dotted. Okay? Thank you for your time.